give likes, stories we share, keep it tight. Every episode it feels so right. Laughs and gems you won't forget. Join the ride, it's a sure bet. Do as my Carat, let's connect. This podcast vibe, such an intellect.
Welcome to Dude, Where's My Carat? And hey, this is it, our very first deep dive.
Exciting stuff. We're kicking things off.
Yeah, we've gathered a whole stack of sources, articles, discussions, all to really get into something pretty special for you today.
Think of it as us doing the legwork, wading through the info.
Exactly. Your
Right.
shortcut to getting the key stuff without feeling buried in, research papers.
And for this first one, episode 1, we picked Oregon Sunstones. My curiosity was definitely piqued.
Mine too. We've got material from the Gemological Institute of America, the GIA.
And the Bureau of Land Management, which is interesting.
Right, plus some real-world perspective from a Reddit chat, and even an article from In Color magazine via the Oregon Sunstone guide site.
So a good mix. Science, government info, personal experiences.
Yeah, the whole picture. So our mission today, basically to unpack the story of Oregon Sunstones.
Where they're from, what makes them tick.
Their history, why they're not just any sunstone, and maybe why you should know about this potential treasure.
Okay, let's dive in. History first.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Well, there's some really cool lore. Native American legends talk about a great warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Wounded in battle.
Yeah.
And his blood fell onto these stones.
Giving them the red color.
That's the legend. And sacred power, too. It suggests they were valued, spiritually.
And it's not just stories, is it? There's actual evidence.
Right. Archaeology backs it up. Sunstones turn up in digs, suggesting they were traded across North America way back.
Wow. Like that museum in Jacksonville, Oregon. They have them in Native American displays, right?
Exactly. It shows they were part of the culture, part of the history, long before modern gemology came along.
So fast forward a bit. They became official.
Yep, 1987.
Yeah.
Oregon designated the Oregon Sunstone as the official state gemstone.
Makes sense. They're beautiful, they're rare, they're unique to the state.
Ticks all the boxes, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But here's where, for me, it gets really fascinating. Calling them sunstones is, well, it's kind of underselling them, isn't it?
It really is. Because they aren't the common sunstone you might find elsewhere. And there was a big mix-up about this early on.
Tell me about that mix-up. What happened?
Okay, so back in the 70s, researchers were looking at the Rabbit Basin area, where these were first really studied.
Right.
The gemologists writing the report saw that glittery effect, the Schiller, in a lot of the stones.
The sparkly bits.
Yeah. And based on that visual, they basically said, okay, this looks like typical oligoclase feldspar with hematite inclusions.
Which is what common sunstone is made of.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
They essentially lumped it in with the more common variety found in other places. They thought, oh, another sunstone deposit.
But they were wrong.
Completely wrong, as it turned out. Later science, proper analysis, revealed something totally different.
Okay, what did they find?
They found it's actually a labradorite feldspar. But the key thing is it contains copper. It's a copper-bearing labradorite.
Copper, not hematite.
No hematite causing the sparkle. The inclusions are actually tiny, tiny nanoparticles of pure copper.
Nanoparticles.
Wow. And here's the kicker. That copper isn't just causing the Schiller effect. It's also responsible for the color of the gem itself.
Whoa, okay, so the copper does double duty. Schiller and body color.
Exactly. And this specific type, copper-bearing labradorite, showing these colors and effects, it had never been documented anywhere else in the world before.
So it went from being dismissed as common to being recognized as geologically unique.
Precisely. It's a fundamentally different gem. Common sunstone, the oleoclase stuff, has different optical properties, lower refractive index.
And the colors are usually less exciting.
Generally, yeah. You get those sort of westy yellows, pale golds, sometimes almost colorless with maybe some glitter.
Okay. Compared to the Oregon ones.
Oh, the Oregon Sunstones have this amazing range.
Yeah.
Champagne, gold, yellow, pink, orange, every shade of red imaginable.
Reds are a big deal here.
Definitely. And then you get the rarer stuff, the teals and greens.
Ah, yes, the greens. Very sought after.
Very. The color range is actually kind of similar to tourmaline, which is known for its variety.
Interesting comparison. And
Yeah.
some change color.
Some do. They can be dichroic or pleochroic, meaning they show different colors depending on the angle you view them from, like a little bit of magic.
Okay, that is seriously cool. So we know they're unique labradorite with copper, amazing colors. Where exactly is this treasure trove?
Geographically, you're looking at southeastern Oregon. The main area is called the Rabbit Basin. It's high desert terrain.
Remote, I imagine.
Pretty remote. though some early finds were also in the Warner Valley lava fields nearby.
Lava fields. So volcanic origin.
Absolutely. The geology is fantastic. About 13 to 14 million years ago, there was a massive eruption from Steens Mountain.
Okay.
And within that cooling lava, these feldspar crystals started to form. They grew right there in the lava flow.
And then what? Buried for millions of years.
Sort of.
Yeah.
The area was later covered by a lake, and then over millions of years, weathering and erosion broke down the basalt lava, exposing the tougher sunstone crystals. They just kind of weathered out.
So they're literally lying on the surface in some places.
In some places, yes, or just below. Which brings us to collecting.
Right. You mentioned the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM. They have a public area.
They do. It's called the Sunstone Collection Area, located right in Rabbit Basin. They mark the boundaries with orange posts.
Orange posts. Got it. So can anyone just go there and start digging?
Pretty much within the designated public area. But there's a catch.
Always a catch.
Well, it's important. There are active private mining claims inside and all around that public area.
So you could easily wander onto someone's claim by accident.
Very easily. And collecting on a private claim without permission is a big no-no, legally speaking.
Yeah.
You really need to pay attention to those boundary markers and know where you are.
Good advice. Stay between the orange posts. What's it like out there? Amenities.
It's basic. Think pit toilet, some picnic tables, maybe a shade structure. That's about it.
Roughing it then. Camping allowed.
Yes, camping is permitted within the public area.
Okay. And the rules for collecting. Finders keepers.
For personal use only. The BLM is very clear. You can collect for your own enjoyment, your personal collection, but you can't sell it or use it for commercial trade.
Right. Keeps it accessible for hobbyists. So that's the public side. What about commercial mining? Who are the big players?
There are some key mines, especially in Rabbit Basin. The Dust Devil mine is a famous one.
Dust Devil. Cool name.
Started back in '92 by Terry Clark and Don Bufford. They became known for finding really top-quality, vivid red sunstones.
The premium stuff.
Exactly. Then you've got the Spectrum mine, run by Chris Rose, also in Rabbit Basin.
Okay.
And the Double Eagle mine, operated by John and Debbie Aldrich. These three Rabbit Basin mines really established the commercial market for high-quality Oregon Sunstone.
So they were the pioneers, in a way. Any other major mines?
Yeah, moving slightly outside Rabbit Basin, in Harney County, John Woodmark started the Ponderosa mine back in 2003. It's known for having a really high concentration of sunstone.
More gems per ton of dirt, basically.
Something like that, yeah. But then came a really significant discovery in 2011.
Oh! What happened?
Dave Wheatley and Randy Reinica found an amazing deposit at a place called Little Eagle Butte. This led to the Panamine and the Sunstone Butte mine.
Little Eagle Butte. Why was that such a big deal?
Different geology. Instead of the layered basalt flows like in Rabbit Basin, this deposit was basically on top of an ancient volcano.
On a volcano?
Yeah. The theory is the gems formed deep inside the magma chamber in calcium-rich lava and cooled really, really slowly.
Slow cooling. Does that make a difference?
Huge difference. It allowed for the growth of exceptionally large and high-quality crystals. Record-breaking stuff came out of there.
Wow. Bigger sizes, better quality. What about colors?
This is where those rarer colors really started showing up more consistently. The greens, the teal.
The ones everyone wants.
Exactly. And even bicolor stones, gems with two distinct colors, and mystique stones, which have multiple colors mixed together.
Mystique. Sounds intriguing.
It is. These mines really expanded the palette of what Oregon Sunstone could be. Kevin Schumacher from GIA visited the area.
Yeah, what did he say?
He commented on how tough it is out there. You need a whole range of skills just to survive and operate a mine successfully in that environment. It really speaks to the miner's dedication.
Definitely sounds challenging. And who owns these mines now? Like the Pana mine?
Pana Mine is now operated by Summit Sunstones, which is actually a group of miners and gem artists working together.
Interesting collaboration. So, okay, we have these amazing gems coming from different mines, different geology. What actually makes one Oregon Sunstone valuable versus another?
The $1 million question, or maybe the $5,000 per carat question.
Right. What drives the price?
It's a combo of things, like with most gems. Color's huge, the grade or quality, rarity, what the market wants, how much is available, all that stuff.
And the market's still kind of small compared to, say, diamonds or rubies.
Yeah, much small, which makes putting exact dollar figures tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
But we can definitely see trends in what people value.
Okay, break it down for me. What's number one?
Color, 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 especially for Oregon Sunstone. Unlike diamonds where clarity is often king, Here, the intensity and rarity of the color are paramount. That unique copper chemistry really defines its value.
More so than clarity.
Often, yes, clarity matters, of course. There's a scale, similar to what the GIA uses, from flawless down to P3, which means heavily included.
And that affects price.
Big time. A flawless stone might get a 20% bump in value, while a P3 stone could lose 75% of its potential value.
Wow. Okay, so clarity is still important. What else?
Tone and saturation. Basically how light or dark the color is and how intense or vivid it is.
Right, not just red, but how red.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are different grading scales, like the GIA one from light to very deep or a traditional A to AAA scale. And the impact on value is massive.
How massive?
We're talking value multipliers.
Yeah.
A very light, pale stone might be the base value, like 1x, but a really deep, richly saturated AAA stone of the same size and clarity can be worth like 15 times more.
15 times, just based on the richness of the color.
Yep. That grading system, by the way, owes a lot to miners like Don Buford from Dust Devil and John Aldrich from Double Eagle. They helped develop it.
So color intensity is key. What else? Cut.
Quality of cut definitely plays a role. A perfect cut enhances the gem's beauty and can add up to 30% to the value. A poor cut does the opposite, potentially knocking 30% off.
Makes sense. And that Schiller effect, the glitter.
That's another factor buyers look at. How intense is the Schiller? Is it evenly spread? Some people love lots of Schiller, others prefer less, focusing just on the body color. It's a bit subjective, but strong, attractive Schiller can add value.
So overall trends. People want great color saturation, good clarity, maybe some nice Schiller, and a good cut.
That sums it up pretty well. And we've definitely seen prices and popularity increase, especially after those little Eagle Butte finds around 2012. The price for good rough material has gone up quite a bit.
So ballpark figure. If you have a really nice top color faceted Oregon Sunstone, maybe say 5 carats, what's the retail replacement value look like?
For top color stones in that 3 to 10 carat range, you're generally looking at appraisal values between, say, $800 and maybe up to $5,000 per carat.
Per carat. That's a serious range.
It is. The very best reds and greens command those higher prices. And given how rare they are compared to other gems worldwide, there's definitely potential for future value growth.
But people need to be careful about imitations, right?
Absolutely. There was a whole issue with artificially colored andesine feldspar being sold as Tibetan andesine, or sometimes confused with Oregon Sunstone. It caused market confusion, so buying from reputable sources is crucial.
Always good advice. Now, what about the people who actually cut these gems, the facetors? What's their take?
We looked at opinions from some really respected gem artists, John Dyer, Dallin Hargrave, John Bailey, Daryl Alexander.
Top names.
Yeah. And the consensus is interesting. They say Oregon Sunstone is actually pretty easy to cut and polish. It works nicely.
Oh, really? I might have guessed it would be difficult.
Apparently not in terms of the physical cutting, but they also say it's optically complex. Getting the best color, handling the Schiller, orienting the stone correctly, that takes skill.
So easy to work with physically, but challenging artistically.
Exactly. Which makes it great for cutters at all levels.
Yeah.
Beginners can work with it, maybe using less expensive material, while experts can really push the boundaries with the unique optical properties.
And it comes in a good range of sizes and price points for rough.
For sure. You can find small, affordable pieces right up to those large, valuable crystals. Something for every budget.
And the industry is noticing, right? Awards.
Definitely. Oregon Sunstones have done really well at the AGTA Spectrum Awards, which are like the Oscars for colored gems. They frequently place in the top 3, sometimes winning multiple categories in one year.
That's impressive recognition.
It is. And you're seeing more well-known American gem artists incorporating them into their work. Plus, they're popping up on TV shopping channels now, too.
So it's moving beyond just a niche collector's gem.
It seems to be gaining broader appeal, yeah.
That actually reminds me of that Reddit post we saw, someone learning to facet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. Someone taking a faceting class, and they specifically wanted to cut an Oregon Sunstone for a ring they were planning.
And they wanted a green or red one, right?
Yeah, aiming high. But what was nice was the personal connection wanting to use a local Oregon gem for their project.
A lovely idea. Resources. Any other tips?
Someone wisely suggested maybe starting with some non-Schiller material, which is often more affordable, just for practice before tackling an expensive piece of rough.
Smart. Learn the ropes first.
Exactly. And also checking out local gem shows in Oregon, like the Gem Fair or the Portland Regional Show, as places to potentially find good rough directly.
It really shows there's an enthusiastic community around these stones willing to help out newcomers.
For sure. It speaks volumes about the growing interest.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first deep dive. History, geology, mining, value, cutting. Let's try and wrap it up. Key takeaways from episode 1.
Well, first off, Oregon Sunstone is definitely not just another sunstone. It's unique.
Right, it's that copper-bearing labradorite, uniquely American, found primarily in Oregon.
It has a rich history, from ancient Native American use right up to modern mining and gem art.
And its journey from being misunderstood or overlooked to being this sought-after gem is pretty compelling. There's a real connection to the land and the people there.
And that incredible color range driven by copper, plus the potential for things like Schiller and pleochroism. It's a fascinating material.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is to just consider the journey of these gems.
Yeah, imagine. From inside a volcano millions of years ago, weathering out into the high desert,
To potentially ending up as a treasure someone finds themselves if they're exploring that BLM area in Oregon.
or becoming this unique centerpiece in a piece of jewelry, holding a little bit of Oregon's geological history.
It definitely makes you think about the hidden gems, sometimes literally, that might be closer than we realize. Maybe encourage people to look into them more, visit the area, research the mines.
Or even just appreciate the artistry involved in cutting them. There's a lot to explore.
Absolutely. Well, this has been fantastic. Thanks for diving into Oregon Sunstones with me for our very first deep dive.
My pleasure. It was fascinating to pull all that information together.
And thank you for listening to Dude, Where's My Carat? We hope you enjoyed it.
Stay tuned, because we'll be back digging into another topic soon.